You are alive, my friend.
Welcome to WagerTalk Today, the gold standard of sports betting shows where we talk the talk, we definitely walk the walk. It is Wednesday. Midweek board is loaded. Ralph Michaels has got two college football games we're going to break down and get you an edge there. Teddy Covers is going to join in and break down some baseball games. We got Blue Jays, Yankees, Phillies, Dodgers. And then we're going to do This Line Makes No Sense. I'm going to try and convince Teddy that there's a line that is way off in the NFL. It was a great $5 Tuesday for myself and for clients. If you guys joined in on that play, first off, thank you very much. And second, hope you're enjoying the money. It was a wild, wild night on Contender Series. Biggest bet of my entire life last night. It was great. It was a great, great night. But we're going to get started with Ralph Michaels. We're going to bring in Ralph here and talk about some teams that, Ralph, I'll just be honest, I have not watched 1 second of some of these teams here, but doesn't mean there's not an edge here. So we're going to get you started with Missouri State and Middle Tennessee. How do you break this game down? It's a 2-point spread for Missouri State, over under 50. Tell me something about these teams, because I know nothing about these guys.
Andy, what's really exciting is from now to Thanksgiving, we basically almost have football every day. Action starts next Tuesday and Wednesday. CUSA scheduled these early season games. So I love October for football because, as you said, if there's an injury in Alabama, Missouri, we all know about it. If there's an injury in this game, and we're going to talk about it, keeping me off tonight's game is something that you have to dig a little deeper for. First off, it is Missouri State, their first year in the FBS, heading to Middle Tennessee State. Oh, yeah, by the way, Middle Tennessee State has not won an FBS game at home since November 18th, 2023. That's almost 2 seasons they have not won an FBS game at home. You look at their stat profile. Missouri is number 112 in yards per play diff. And I like looking at yards per play diff, the offensive minus the defense. Yes, minus 112 is not good. Number 112 is not good, but they've played the number 63 schedule. Middle Tennessee State is actually number 124, minus 1.23 yards per play. Not only is that 12 spots worse than Missouri State, but they've played a schedule that is 58 spots lower. They've played one of the weakest schedules. That's a big edge for me. When you look at Middle Tennessee State on offense, they're number 121, averaging only 316 yards per game, and they get sacked very often, allowing 18 sacks this season. I look at Middle, and they are coming off a home loss to Marshall, where they outgained as a favorite by 76 yards. They went to Kennesaw State, minus 1 turnover, had a yardage edge, but lost to a pitiful Kennesaw State team, 24-16. Their only win on the season, they went out to Nevada, beat the Wolfpack, but they were outgained by 17 yards. The only reason they won that game by 1 point was because of a Wolfpack turnover. Now, Missouri State, this game likely would have been a 4% play for me, guys. That's how much I do like this. Going to USC and losing by 60 in the season opener, no concern at all for me in your first FBS game that you're transitioning in. Going to Marshall in game number 2, pulling the upset, was impressive. They lost by 18 against SMU at home, but they were only outgained by 120 yards. Not a bad loss. They blow out UT Martin like they should, 42-10. And then last week against Western Kentucky, they lost that game by only 5 points. So statistical profile is better. The situation is better because they've been home for 3 straight games. But again, the only thing keeping this from being a best bet is the quarterback injury. Now, Jacob Clark is a stud. You look at his percentages, 67% this year. He looked like what was a horrible knee injury last week against Western Kentucky. That's part of the reason they lost that game. He had his leg in a brace. He was using crutches. He sat out the second half. They said he was likely going to be out. Then they switched to day-to-day midweek. But the problem is this. If Clark does not go, then it's true freshman Deuce Bailey, who played his first game yesterday and then really struggled in that first game, only 7-16 for 44% completions. With that situation, it's a pass for me, but since I can't load it as a play, I will tell you this. If you tune in the TV tonight and you see Jacob Clark is playing and starting the game, I would jump on Missouri State. If not, it's a pass.
All right. Great breakdown there, Ralph. And we're going to go to a couple teams. Again, I don't know that much about. That's why we bring you in East Carolina versus Tulane. And then after that, we're going to go over some trends and some angles in the NFL. And this week's NFL trend and angles is going to blow your guys' mind because it blew my mind here. All right. We got Tulane minus 6.5 over under 53.5. How do you break this game down?
You know, I am an East Carolina fan this year, and I look at what they've done. You know, beating Army last week was impressive to me. 141 yard per game edge. And actually, it wasn't last week. They are coming off a bye. In fact, they haven't played since 2 Thursdays ago when they beat Army. You look at the Pirates, their losses this year to BYU, they were -2 turnovers, only outgained by 14 yards per game. At NC State, they lost by 7. They were only outgained by 10 yards per game. This is a team I like. The problem is Tulane has won 23 of their last 25 conference games. They have a coach who knows how to win in John Summerall in his second season here. Their only loss, a good loss, at Mississippi, where they lost by 35 points. But I say a good loss because they've beaten those teams they care about. They do have a strong home field. I do like the small stadium they play in now, and we saw it against Duke when they did allow 452 yards to the Blue Devils, but they won that game 34-27, and Duke did have several penalties because of the noise in that situation. Statistically, when I break it down, East Carolina, much better yards per play diff, number 42 versus 88, but Tulane, a much better schedule, 31 versus 85. So when that occurs, you got to take a look at which you feel is stronger based on the strength of schedule. But I like East Carolina in this situation. You have 3 wide receivers that all have between 22 and 28 catches. All 3 of those receivers have between 300 and 352 yards. They're all averaging over 12.5 yards per carry. I make this line 3. This play may still make it to my card tomorrow. I'm a Pirates fan Thursday night with East Carolina and perhaps even an outright upset.
All right, Ralph. Now, we're going to go to the NFL trends. And listen, what's one of the biggest narratives now that we're into week 5 and 6? Well, team coming off a bye. They've got that extra rest, extra week to prepare. Let's talk about buys because this is going to surprise everybody. So watch out if you're using they're off of a bye on your NFL handicapping. Let's pull up this chart and walk us through
how many
what's
times
real,
will we hear
what's
that
not real.
when
Yes,
you're reading
every week.
reading newsletters this week? Again, this is why it's so important to know the facts, because it makes sense that they're going to benefit off a bye because the NFL, you start getting beat up during the season. But take a look down that left-hand column. If you blindly bet every NFL team off a bye since 2015, you have gone 49%.
Wow.
If they are a home favorite the next week, 45%. A home dog, 49%, and away favorite, 48.5%. So the only situations are if the team is an away dog off a bye. And then I have on the right hand, Andy, and I will post this on my Twitter, this is what they did the week before. So if you want to look at how a team won at home the week before a bye, lost at home a week before a bye, won away before their bye, or lost away before a bye, but take a look at the away dogs. It doesn't matter. Now, these aren't wow numbers, but it's 55%, so it needs to be part of your handicapping. 55%, and it doesn't matter the previous game. If they won at home, lost at home, won away, or lost away, it's basically consistent across the board. If they are off a home loss, that category, I do have a typo in there, my apologies. See, the first category says home win. The next one should be home loss, and I have win loss in there. I'll correct that when I post the chart to Twitter. But those are strong. Away favorites off a home loss, 64%. Away dogs off a home loss, 63%. So I'm not telling you you cannot play teams off a bye, but just make sure you have a small negative check mark in there so you are handicapping the game properly.
All right. Do we know? Are there any teams in particular off the top of your head that this really affects this week? I'm trying to think.
There were 4 teams off a bye, and let's see if I could pull those up because
Steelers, Bears, Falcons. Help me out, chat. Which one am I missing? Steelers, Bears, Falcons, and there was one other team. Teddy's in the back room just screaming at us. Teddy's just screaming at us.
Green Bay.
Green Bay.
Thank you. I'm looking at Andy, and I had a brain fart. Andy had a brain fart. So thank you for finally jumping in, Teddy. What the hell were you waiting for so long?
Teddy. Teddy was like, "You idiots! It's Green Bay." Okay, so those are the 4 teams that we're looking at for this week. The Steelers, the Pack. Okay, all right. Thank you very much, Teddy. Ralph, it's Wednesday. What do you have up for clients?
Well, again, it's Weekend Warrior Week, guys, and I'll say this. I had a losing Saturday college football, only my second of the week. I went 1-1 Sunday, lost my big play. I did have a college football 5% loser last Friday. We always want to mention the winners and the losers. But number 2 in college football since the start of 2024, college football run 27-14, 66%. College football and NFL best bets, those are 4% and 5% plays, 37-16, 70%. I will have an NFL 5%. They are 6-1, 86%. And Andy, my NFL teasers rated 4% or 5%, 16-3, 84%. The Weekend Warrior, $49. Get it now as soon as I load any college football plays for Saturday, NFL plays for Sunday. And if I have a Monday NFL play, you'll get that as well. You get them immediately and get the lines that I bet the games at and want you to bet them at as well.
Ralph Michaels, take advantage of the Weekend Warrior, $49. Get you all those plays. Great run on those teasers, Ralph. That's a really strong run. So make sure you're grabbing the Weekend Warrior for Ralph Michaels over at WagerTalk. Thank you, Ralph. Great stuff, great breakdowns, great trends.
Thanks.
Have a great Wednesday.
Teddy's like one of those guys that at the end of the show, we have to go through the blips and errors that Teddy should be on each show, catching everything and pointing those out to everyone. So let him know that he should be on the show 5 days a week. And just to be able to do that for us, we'd be very appreciative. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Ralph. Let's just bring in Teddy Covers right now, and then we'll do all around the Teddy, that would be amazing if you had to come on every day and correct all the mistakes. It'd be like a 15-minute segment. Like, well, Andy said this, and no, Ralph, you said this.
Well, they used to have the guy in Kornheiser and Wilbon used to do that back in the day.
That's right, they did.
Yeah. But then you'd have to listen to the show, and I love being on the show. But when I'm not on, I'm not. It's a busy time. Once you get in October, October, November, December, as a sports bettor, this is the busiest time of the year. So all the periphery stuff just kind of floats away, and then it's sports and sports betting pretty much 24/7, at least in my world, this time of year.
Yeah, my world too. We're starting to look at NBA futures, over-unders, props. Don't forget, that is right around the corner. So
I know. I haven't forgotten.
Me either. I can't wait to start talking NBA. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Blue Jays, Yankees, Phillies, Dodgers, and then I'm going to give you an NFL line that I think makes no sense. But let's start with this Blue Jays, Yankees. Yankees with the big comeback last night, and they are minus 145 favorite. I saw our friend Ariel Epstein had to do 3 shots of tequila right in a row if the Yankees completed the comeback. And she did it. Shout out to her. She posted on social media 3 straight shots of tequila. Well, what are we looking at for this game today here? We got Schlittler for New York, Marlin for Toronto as the listed starters. How do you break this game down?
Yeah, maybe the Blue Jays should have closed this one out when they had the chance. He gave the Yankees life, and that's not always a good thing. The Yankees have done this before. They've overcome a 2-0 deficit in the best of 5 division series back in 2001. They made the World Series that year in 2017 as well. So the franchise has that history. And when you're trailing 6-1 early and then you score 8 unanswered runs, that's their largest comeback ever in an elimination game, tied for the second biggest comeback in any postseason game. And Toronto hadn't lost all season after trailing, after I say leading by 4 runs or more. So all of a sudden, it's uncharted territory for the Blue Jays. And the quotes coming out of the Yankees locker room are exactly what you want. About celebration, Aaron Boone, quote, we need another one tomorrow. We'll enjoy this for about 10 minutes and get ready for that. Aaron Judge, quote, tonight was special. And for Judge, it really was a special game, with the home run that somehow or other stayed fair, with a diving catch in right field with it was a big game for Aaron Judge, who went now 7 for 11 in the series, 4 RBIs yesterday. Quote, tonight was special, but there's still more work to be done. Hopefully we have some more cool moments like this the rest of the postseason. We had another big game tomorrow night. So certainly we've seen the Yankees bats. We've seen all the bats in this series come alive. The series 3-0 to the over so far. The second round of the postseason, 7-3 to the over in 10 games. After the first round in the wild card matches, we didn't get any runs. It was one under after the next. It's been the opposite of that over the last 4 days. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see more runs scored tonight. You talked about, and I really always struggle saying his name. You're like, am I going to say it right or not? Schlittler, who is coming off. I backed him last time against Boston. I thought the Yankees were going to win that game and win the series. I did not expect what I got from Schlittler, though. He was unbelievable in that ball game. 12 strikeouts, no walks, 8 innings of shutout ball. But he also threw a season high in pitches in that contest, which is definitely a concern for me here. Toronto hit him hard. He lasted 1 2/3 in a home game against the Blue Jays, and this was in September. 4 runs, 5 hits, 7-1 loss. They fouled off the Blue Jays 24 of Schlittler's 66 pitches in that ball game. Quote, it was impressive how many foul balls there were, but I think I'm a different pitcher now than I was when I faced him a month ago, and now even from 2 weeks ago. Well, that's a lot of confidence off the one start. The Blue Jays have been hitting, They hit 392, scored 23 runs in the first 2 games in Toronto. They scored here yesterday. I know they had 2 hits in the final 5 innings, but this is a lineup that is clicking right now. The wind blowing from left to right out towards right field. That makes that short porch in right very tempting. Schlittler, I'm not expecting a start as good as his last start. On the other side of the equation, we got Varland, who got hit yesterday by the Yankees. Lauer coming in as the backup, as the bulk inning starter. I'm expecting runs. It's been high scoring in the series. It's been high scoring first 5. It's been high scoring full game. First 5 over 4.5. Full game over 8.5. That's the way I would look for this one. I think the first 5 might be the stronger of the 2. But no argument with anyone who's expecting runs in the Bronx in evening action on Wednesday.
Real quick, Justin. I know Justin. Awesome guy. Where's New York? -145. Yeah, that line is no longer available. That was the opening line. That's when we made the graphic. Tons of money have come in on the Yankees. So yes, you are correct. When we made the graphic, that's what it was. But now, I'm seeing -165s, -175. So yes, Justin, -145 open. It's not there anymore, but we like the over, so we're not even going to mess with the money line on that one.
And just let me jump in real quick because I don't even know where it opened -145. I didn't see that number.
Okay.
It may have been out there somewhere, but right now, look at the Odds Logic live odds screen. It's -165, anywhere up to -180, depending on where you shop. Total pretty much across the board, sitting at 8.5 right now. That Odds Logic live odds screen. Get your free trial, guys. It's free, 7-day free all access for a live odds service. If you've never used one, it's cool. Do it today. Again, oddslogic.com/Teddy gets the free 7-day all access. Check it out.
That's 7.5 total. I talked with Brian Power yesterday about that 7.5 total on Yanks and Blue Jays. Like, what are we doing here? Why did never mind. Phillies, Dodgers here. We got Nola going for Philly, Yamamoto going for the Dodgers. We got the Dodgers as a big favorite here. How do you break this game down?
So, again, looking at the Odds Logic live odds screen right now, I'm seeing the Dodgers in the -175 range total. 7.5 juice to the over. And, in a second round, we've seen a bunch of overs. We didn't get there with these 2 teams last time. A 4-3 final. The Dodgers bullpen tried to blow it in the 9th inning, but didn't quite get there. They'll probably try again tonight. Rob Thompson, the Phillies manager, quote, I love the fight in the 8th and 9th inning. They fought like hell, and hopefully that carries over into Wednesday. This is a resilient group. Our backs are against the wall. We've just got to come out fighting. And I think Philadelphia will be able to do that. Look, teams that are up 2-0 in a best-of-5 postseason series are 80-10. So 10 times teams have come back. There have been 54 sweeps out of those 90 tries. So we've seen, a 5.5 to 1 ratio of sweeps versus comebacks. That being said, Philadelphia certainly, going into the series, at least in my mind, the winner of this series is the team to back to win it all, and that hasn't changed through the first 2 games. And if Philadelphia does come back against LA, I think they will be the team to beat moving forward. So we got Nola going for Philadelphia. I don't trust Nola. You don't trust Nola. He's pitched better of late. He does not have a great track record against the Dodgers. He's not got a great track record down the stretch, but they have Ranger Suarez to back him up. So if Nola gets into trouble, I would expect to see Suarez fairly early for Philadelphia. And of course, if Nola pitches a gem, which, he's a veteran, he's more than capable of doing. He's done it in the postseason many times before. Even if it looks like Max Muncy's going to get his first start of the series, we could see Will Smith in this ballgame as well for LA. Not sure about that yet. But even against the Dodgers, if Nola's dealing, they'll be dealing. That being said, Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, ice cold. 1 of 14 with 8 strikeouts so far in this series. Harper's quote, "It's kind of weird and crazy to see there's only been 1 homer hit in the first 2 games. Pitching's been good on both sides. I think there's maybe 2 guys that have kind of played well on both sides." So Philadelphia knows they have a better game in them. They certainly, we talk about Yamamoto, who's been ace level, all year long. That being said, ace level all year long, and then ace level against Philadelphia in the postseason with the pressure and the bullpen issues behind him, that to me is something of concern for LA in the pitching tonight. I like the Phillies team total over in this ballgame. 3.5 is the number, the prevailing number, and you get that even at a plus price, plus 105. I'm seeing available right now on Philadelphia team total over. I understand that they haven't hit as well as expected so far in this series, but I think the change of location, the day off, can only help a very potent lineup against a pitching staff that has seen a few cracks. So we like over in both games. Full game for Yankees, Blue Jays. For the Dodgers and Phillies, we like Phillies team total over 3.5.
I love it. I was so jealous that Tokyo Brandon came up with taking the Reds team total over against the Dodgers in those games. I was so jealous that he came up with that one, and now you're doing the same thing. Phillies Dodgers makes all the sense in the world, and yes, it's generous saying they have a few cracks in their pitching staff, Teddy.
It's worth noting that we've seen Dave Roberts avoid the bullpen entirely and just go back to his because they have so many starters. Could we see Glasnow again in this ballgame late? I don't think we'll see Sasaki tonight. They've been really doing their best to keep Sasaki from pitching in back-to-back games. He's a guy that they've got a lot of money tied into and a lot of hopes for the future tied into. So there's definitely a possibility in this game for late game shenanigans with the Dodgers likely going without their erstwhile closer.
Shout out to Rob. He says, "Sorry, I'm late. Could we start the show over?" I love Rob. I love Rob. Go back and watch from the very beginning, Rob. Oh, that's great. That's great. Teddy, I'm going to do this line makes no sense, but before we do that, tell everyone what you have up for clients at WagerTalk.
So right now, I just have a single best bet available in MLB for today, early start game. So if you want some afternoon action, the MLB has been really good. 15-4, dating back to last year, 79%, plus 30.4 units. This season in MLB playoffs, I'm 5-1, 83%, making money. And sometimes the games are jumping at me, and that's real nice to see in October. You don't always expect it. So the baseball's been good. Get it right now, $9 on my page, www.buzz/TC. I'm writing a 25-13 all sports run, 65% over the last 2.5 weeks. And I'm writing a 15-8 football heater. That's NFL and college combined. College 10-3, 77% over the last, I think it's 3 Saturdays. So making money in football, making money in baseball. I cannot complain too much, but Andy, we'll find a way.
I had my very first ever prop bet that was voided because of an injury on Monday night. We had Brenton Strange, the tight end. He catches one pass in the first quarter, gets hurt. and they void the bet. That's the first time it's ever happened to me. This is the DraftKings and ESPN Bet and BetMGM where they decide to randomly void player prop bets if there's an injury in the first half of the first quarter. What a world and what an age we live in, Teddy. Sportsbooks randomly voiding bets because of injuries.
Note that that's happening in a scenario where they don't have a lot of liability.
Yes, absolutely.
It's going to be a scenario where they get a nice PR move and it doesn't cost them a lot of money, and that's what they'll do. This was that.
Yeah. Yes, Brenton Strange props. Sure, they didn't have a whole lot on that one. So, all right, we're going to do This Line Makes No Sense. Then I got a lifestyle question here for you, Teddy. All right, this line makes no sense. Rams -7.5 against the Ravens. My opinion, the Ravens are absolutely punting on these games before the bye week. Lamar Jackson's not playing. 7 defenders are out. So what are they going to do? They're going to rest their guys this week. Then they have the bye. They come out of the bye 1-5. They think their season's over. Not so fast, my friend. They have Bears, Dolphins, Vikings, Browns, Jets, Bengals, Steelers, Bengals, Patriots after their bye week. That's where they make their run. Rams get extra rest from the Thursday game. They're coming off an embarrassing loss to a rival. And the Ravens have allowed 6.1 yards per play and a league worst 39.7 points per game the last 3 games. Teddy, they don't have a defense. The Ravens have lost their last 2 games by 17 and 34. This line makes no sense. The Rams should be 10.5-point favorites. I think the Rams blow out the Ravens in a game I think they're throwing away. You agree or disagree?
So, I'm supposed to disagree with you, right? I can make an argument.
You can do whatever. I'm just saying this line makes no sense. I will be using Rams in Survivor. Rams, everything. I use Texans in Survivor. Rams crush the Ravens.
So there are a couple of key factors to consider before you load up all your bankroll on the Rams in this ballgame. All right. You had Ralph Michaels on talking about the teams coming out of the bye, and the teams coming out of the bye, there's nothing there. All right. Everyone goes, oh, they're coming off a bye. They're coming off a bye. And obviously, coming off a bye from a point spread perspective is actually a slight negative. Going into the bye, that's where the positives are. And if you follow Ralph on Twitter, if you don't know, you got to follow Ralph on Twitter at CalSportsLV. On Twitter, he's just a great follow, and he tweets out all these charts, even stuff you don't see on the shows. But if you know that he put out a chart with the teams before the bye, and the teams before, in all the different categories, teams before the bye, positive expectations, 60%, 60+%. That's your spot. It's not after the bye, it's before the bye. Factor number 2. All right. So you want teams like Baltimore going into the bye week, plus, as a dog in general. Factor number 2. How confident are you in your Baltimore Ravens power rating right now? This team is still favored to win the AFC North. Okay. They're still the favorites in the division. Okay. How confident are you that your power rating on Baltimore is spot on? Because I'm not. My number for the game came 5.5, and I'm like, I guess I'm not downgrading the Ravens.
Wow.
I guess I'm not. The markets have downgraded them 10, 12, 14 points since the start of the season, and I've only downgraded them 8 or 10 points since from where they were. I think maybe 9.5 points from where they were. But I'm not confident in my number. You're not confident in your number. Anyone that says, "Oh, I know, I got the Ravens pegged. I know exactly what they," no, you don't. So. And then factor number 3, if we're going to keep making cases for the dog here, how good are the Rams exactly? Not like they're killing teams. Not like the Rams are blowing everybody out of the water every week. That's not how they play. That's not how this season's gone for them. It's not. You got a West Coast team traveling east for an early start game. They win this game by a touchdown. They're just plenty happy. So there's cases made for Baltimore here. Maybe some good ones. Line's not high, or not line's too high.
Oh man,
I can make sense for you.
I watched what the Texans did to this Baltimore team, and I don't think Houston's that good. They just laid a whooping on Baltimore. So, all right, we shall see. We shall see. I did pretty decent on this segment last week with my Broncos pick. So, all right. So we were talking before the show. Do not do this, guys. We do not recommend this. Teddy, have you ever gone all in on a bet? I talked about this. Okay.
One time.
I did it last night. We got time. We got a lot of time. Tell the story about your all-in bet. I think I've heard you tell this story before. I don't remember what happened.
So it was the year I cashed in the Hilton Con. It was a top 10 finisher in the Super Contest in, I think it was 1999. And 2000 comes, and I freaking can't pick a winner. You know how it is. Oh, last year was great. This year isn't, you know. And I had back-to-back terrible weeks. I wasn't an established capper then. I was just starting out. I didn't have a bankroll that could withstand a whole lot. And I got clobbered back-to-back weeks. There was a Monday night game with, it's got to be Cordell Stewart against Chris Chandler. It was the Steelers and the Falcons. All right? Yeah.
Wow.
And this is Atlanta coming off a Super Bowl appearance the previous year. And they had an awful start to the season. Pittsburgh was laying the 4.5, 5.5, 6.5. And I took every dollar I had at the time. And I played Atlanta plus the points. I had Atlanta on the money line. And I played more Atlanta plus the points because I found a +7. And that was my all-in moment. And the Falcons trailed by margin the whole game. In the fourth quarter, they rallied back and actually had first and goal from the 3 to win the game. They didn't win the game straight up. They weren't able to convert, but they covered the number. So I won the majority of my bets, and that kept me alive, and then the rest is history. But yeah, that was early on in my career where if I lose that game, I don't know what happened. You probably never heard of it.
Do you remember what you felt like leading up to the game? Like
I remember what I felt like when they were down 14-0 in the first, and early. And I was pretty, but that feeling when it's bad, but it's just so bad you can't really process it. You know what I'm talking about? I'm sure you guys out there know what I'm talking about. It was that, it was like, all right, let's, yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah. That was me last night. There was a fight on Contender Series. I don't know if you heard me tell. There was a fighter. I've never done tape study on a fighter this bad in my entire career. I've never seen a fighter this awful, and we went all in on everything. Fight doesn't go the distance. Under 1.5. Fight ends in round 1. That's Luke Fernandez by knockout. Every possible play you could possibly think of. I had my entire bankroll, and then I added more money on top of the bankroll. I told people, I literally had 500% of my bankroll on there, and it was incredibly terrifying. It was nerve-wracking, and then the fight lasted 1 punch. Our guy hit the guy one time, and the fight was over. It lasted 12 seconds, but it could have been 8 because the ref was late to stop it. But I do not recommend that. It was great for one night. I don't ever want to do that ever again.
So I remember making a really as big a bet as I've ever made. I bet against Mark Mulder. I think it might have been his last career start. He was starting for the Cardinals. They were playing the Rays. The Rays were red hot, and the Cardinals were favored. And I'm like, this is the dumbest line I've ever seen, And back that's when I used to do games of the year. So this is my game of the year, and I loaded up, and that was, it was like 8-1 Tampa in the second inning. It was that kind of a scenario. It was easy. You like it when the handicap is right. Mulder was, he was done. I think it was Mulder, but yeah, those are nice when they come, when you handicap it right and it comes through. There was another early one that I had when it was Steve Spurrier with the Washington Redskins at the time. He was going to Tokyo for a preseason opener against Mariucci and the 49ers. It's a preseason game. And Spurrier's like, we're going to win. And Mariucci's like, yeah, we got a tour of Osaka. And San Fran was laying 3 at the open. All right. They just put out a 3. And I'm like, this is the dumbest line I've ever seen. It closed Washington plus -3. And they won the game. I think it was 38-7. It was over well before halftime. And that was another one that was like, I loaded up and it felt great and it worked right. And, so it's nice when they come through like that, Andy. Nice call, good handicap, easy cash, well done. Those are the best.
They are. It was a great feeling. And Rob asked how many times did you throw up watching your all-in bet? I didn't over under 2.5. I cashed the under on throwing up, but it's a nerve-wracking feeling, and I do not recommend it for people.
Tessie bets just like 13-9 or something like that. Yeah, it was an ugly game.
Tessie went and pulled out the game on YouTube.
Yeah. That 9 mattered. Yeah, because it was like 6.5. Which was a closing number around town, and 7. I found a 7 or something. But yeah, yes.
Oh,
that was what a fun day.
What amazing day. Teddy covers. Teddy covers. Thank you.
Those are all. Last thing I'm going to say. Sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, Andy. But the key is those are all at least most early career stuff. When your bankroll's not where it needs to be, and you haven't learned some of the lessons that you learned later on. But that being said, when your bankroll is what it's supposed to be, you can step up and have a big size wager. You're just not betting all of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Teddy covers. Love the story. Thank you very much. Can't wait to see you on Friday for Football Friday. Cheers. Teddy covers, everyone. So, it was a wild night. We cashed our $5 Tuesday play. We said we were going to, and now we move on to our 5% play in UFC on Saturday. It's not an all-in play. This is a very confident play that we've already bet. We hit our 5% play on Saturday. We hit our $5 Tuesday play in Contender Series last night. We're going to hit our 5% play in UFC. If you haven't gotten that, go grab that play. Absolutely love it. The line is moving a little bit, but it's still available and still a 5% worthy play. So that is over at wt.buzz/AL. That's our big play for the weekend. Justin, what would you have done if you've lost? You just start over. That was the mindset. I talked to Jim. You guys know Jim, one of my betting partners. He's on my team, and we were just like, if it loses, we start over from scratch. That's it. So that was the mindset. But again, I don't ever want to be in that position ever again. But boy, if they put a fighter like that up, we may be in there. All right, big dog, let's pull up all around the world. Let's get some free plays. And yes, the ring girl yesterday, if you watched yesterday, the ring goal yesterday was the ring goal for the guy that lost. So, all right, here we go. Warren Fogle over 1.5 shots on goal in the Kings and the Golden Knights. He didn't have any shots on goal last night, but he had 2 shots that just missed. He's hit this in 69% of his games last year, and he's gone over this in the last 4 games that he's played against the Golden Knights. So we'll take Warren Fogle over 1.5 shots on goal. I'm seeing a lot of people on UTEP on the money line. Liberty are 1-4 ATS and straight up. Liberty lost all their games against FBS teams by double digits, and they've only scored 57 points total. UTEP, pretty good defense, especially on 3rd and 4th down. Liberty defense is bad, allowing 5.5 yards per carry. I believe I read Brian Power say that no team has been lowered in his power rankings more than Liberty. So Liberty's a fade at this point. And then Cubs and Brewers, Tokyo Brandon's got a team total. He's been fantastic on these team totals. Cubs over 1.5 in the first 5. The Cubs hitters have had success against Priester. He's given up over 1.5 runs in his last 4 starts. Cubs have put up 10 earned runs against him in the season in 3 starts. So those are your free plays for tonight. We had a really nice. I'm so excited. Hockey's back. This Warren Fogle is going to be a client play. We hit Carter Verhaeghe to have a point yesterday. I think I hit over 61% of NHL props. So we're going to start talking a lot about NHL props on this show. If you're not betting NHL props, you're doing yourself a disservice. You can hit an incredibly high percentage on NHL props. These lines are soft and the books do not adjust. So we'll start talking a lot about NHL props. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Hit the like button, leave us a comment. Tell us if you had an all-in moment that you're not that proud of in the comment section below. And I wanted to shout out somebody in the chat who. Oh, hey Chris, can we pull up that comment? We have a bet with Jesse Schul. Do you have that? Or do you want? No, we'll save it for tomorrow. Okay. Somebody posted a fantastic comment that me and Jesse can have a bet on the game, on the Georgia Tech game this weekend. We'll show that tomorrow, but Jesse has agreed to it where each of us has a punishment if the other one loses. So we'll pull that up tomorrow. So fantastic in the comment section. And somebody sent me a very, very nice message asking about the Deion Sanders poster that I had in the background. It's right over there. You can kind of see the corner of it, but I just wanted to say thank you. That was such a cool moment and a really, really nice conversation that I had with that gentleman. So I appreciate that. And that is in the comment section. So leave us a comment below. Thanks very much for joining us. We're going to do it again tomorrow. And don't forget, Football Fridays, guys. Friday, our biggest show of the week. We break down NFL, NCAA, Marco's Wing Sauce. Teddy and I do Sell Meat. We talk Survivor. We talk about the Super Contest. It's a huge, huge Friday, so make sure you're watching on Fridays. It's the best football show of the week by far, outside of Opening Line Report, which Teddy does on Monday. All right, thanks for joining us. Good luck in all your plays. We'll see everyone tomorrow. Take care.